Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for tuning in to Back to the Heart. If you are loving these conversations about healing, mindset, and manifesting transformation, make sure to follow the show right now so you never miss an episode. And while you're here, tap that star or heart and share this episode with someone who's ready to come back to their heart too. And if you want daily inspiration, behind the scenes moments, and a peek into my world, come hang out with me on Instagram at back2, love me. All right, take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's dive in.
Back to the heart.
What if the life you've been searching for starts the moment you return to your heart? Welcome to Back to the Heart, the podcast for people who are ready to release old stories, embody their truth, and create a life that feels aligned, safe, and real. I'm your host, Amanda Roa, Identity Expansion and Embodiment Coach. And here we talk about healing through storytelling, nervous system regulation, self-trust, and tools that help you come home to yourself. You'll hear powerful conversations with guests sharing the breakthroughs that changed their lives, and you'll also get solo episodes with insights, language shifts, and real life practices to help you reconnect with who you are and call in the kind of love you once believed only existed in fairy tales. Let's get into today's episode. What if you aren't asking for too much? What if you're asking for a level of love that requires more emotional capacity than exists in the relationship right now? Because when depth is missing, it can create frustration, confusion, and sometimes even self-doubt. In this episode, we're going to talk about emotional capacity in relationships, why you can feel like you're giving more than you are receiving, and how your relationship with yourself shapes what you experience with others. This is one of the biggest relationship realizations that I have had, both personally and in the people I work with, is understanding this idea of capacity. We oftentimes hear people talking about fill your cup up first, you have to fill your cup up first. But what does that really mean? Because what we're doing here is people can't give what they don't have, right? So we talk about filling up your cup, but let's dig deeper of what does that really mean with a true embodied relationship, a love relationship with a partner. What it means is a person cannot consistently give you a level of love that they personally haven't developed inside themselves. So think about that. A person cannot consistently give you a level of love they haven't developed inside themselves. They may want to, they can promise to, they can try, but they cannot sustain it. Because relationships reveal internal limits. Relationships reveal internal stories. Relationships reveal those unhealed patterns, those unhealed traumas. And this is the part that matters. It doesn't mean that someone is bad. It doesn't mean that they don't care. And it definitely doesn't mean that you're asking for too much. It means capacity is different. We receive love from others to the depth that we allow ourselves to feel loved internally. Love from others to the depth that we allow ourselves to feel loved internally. Now I want to repeat that. And today I've got a lot of notes here because this is some really deep information, and I would highly recommend, if you're at a place where you can make some notes, to write some of this stuff down, because these words can get really confusing, of the giving and the receiving and the love and the depth. But this is so critically important that we understand this, because if you're out there and you're really wanting to have that true, deep, beautiful, fulfilling love with a partner or with yourself, this capacity, the depth, is such an important concept to understand and to grasp and to actually put into practice. So let me repeat that. We receive love from others to the depth that we allow ourselves to feel loved internally. And we give to others to the depth that we give love to ourselves. That is capacity. It's not intention. It's not desire. It's not effort. Capacity. Because love, real love, isn't effort. It's emotional availability. It's nervous system safety. It's presence. It's openness. It's the ability to stay connected during discomfort. And those things come from within. Those things come from inside ourselves. So when someone feels like they are giving more than they are receiving, often what they are actually giving is effort, caretaking, overextension, hope, self-sacrifice. And while that can feel like love, grounded, embodied love feels different. It feels mutual. It feels clean. It feels steady. Let's use a real life example here. There was a relationship in my past where this became really clear. This man genuinely believed he was giving me everything he had. And in his mind, he was. He cared about me. He loved me in the way he knew how. He wanted me to feel loved. And sometimes he would even say things like, I would give my life for you. Or even, I don't deserve you. And at that time, that sounded romantic. It sounded devoted. It sounded like love. But looking back now, I understand something very different. Because when someone says, I don't deserve you, there's often truth in that statement. Not in a hierarchy sense, but in a capacity sense. They are recognizing a gap between what you are asking for and what they feel capable of giving. And I've experienced the other side now. I'm in a relationship today where I feel loved in a way that feels aligned and healthy. And I deserve to be treated the way I am being treated. Not because I am special, because I have grown. Because my capacity has changed. Because my relationship with myself has changed. And that is beautiful. Healthy love stopped feeling surprising and started feeling normal. So when someone says, I would give my life for you, and at the time that sounded powerful, it sounded like the highest form of devotion. But now I see it differently, because loving someone doesn't mean valuing yourself so little that you disappear. That isn't love. That's sacrifice. And while many of us were taught that sacrifice equals love, healthy love sounds more like, I value my life deeply and I choose to share it with you, because I don't want someone to love themselves so little that they would lose themselves for me. That does not create safety. That creates imbalance. It's like the airplane analogy. You put your mask on first before helping someone else. Not because you care less, but because capacity comes first. And what I eventually realized is he didn't have the capacity to love himself deeply. So the level he wanted to give me, he didn't even have access to internally. He couldn't give me something he didn't have. And that was painful to recognize because I kept thinking, well, if he really loved me, he would stop drinking. If he really loved me, he would spend more time with me. The thing is, if he really loved me, he would put my needs first. But it wasn't about willingness. It was about capacity. And there's another piece that's really important. So when you have been clear about what you want, what you need, what you believe you deserve, and someone still isn't giving it to you, there is a reason. And when we stay, when we abandon ourselves, when we accept less than what we are asking for, that often reveals something inside us too. It can be a sign that we don't fully believe we deserve what we are saying we want. Not yet, at least. Because when you truly believe you deserve something, you align your choices with it. And this isn't about blame. It's about awareness. Because until we build that level of love internally, receiving it externally is very difficult. Now, here's the part that was confronting for me. When I eventually started experiencing a deeper level of love later with my now current partner, I realized that I didn't fully have the capacity to receive it either. So when there's moments when someone shows up with more presence, more consistency, more care, I noticed a lot of discomfort in myself. Doubts came up, fear, questioning, not because something was wrong, but because my nervous system wasn't used to that level of love yet. And that's when I realized receiving love requires capacity too. And that capacity grew as I learned to love myself more deeply. And that's where another realization happened. We often expect others to meet needs we haven't learned to meet within ourselves yet. How can we expect someone outside of us to give us a level of love that we don't even give ourselves? If I'm critical towards myself, if I'm disconnecting from myself, if I am ignoring my own needs, how would I even recognize deeper love when it showed up? This is why loving yourself is not a cliche idea. It is foundational. Because if you aren't receiving the love you want from someone else, the most powerful place to start is giving it to yourself first. The relationship inside you sets the baseline for every relationship outside of you. And the beautiful part is that capacity can grow. Now, here's the piece that many people overlook. We've talked about when someone is giving this to you. They may not have the capacity to give that type of love to you. Here's the other side, the receiving side. We also cannot fully receive a level of love that our nervous system isn't familiar with yet. So if someone shows up with more presence, more consistency, more emotional openness, and your system isn't used to that, you're likely going to distrust it. You're going to question it. You're going to pull away. You may even feel a little anxious around it. So capacity works in both directions, the giving and the receiving. And relationships almost always organize around the emotional capacity of the two people involved. So when one person grows and the relationship changes, sometimes it deepens, sometimes conflict arises, sometimes clarity appears about incompatibility. Sometimes the relationship ends. Growth reveals the truth. And sometimes the truth is the relationship can grow. And sometimes the truth is they can't. So if you're feeling unmet right now, the powerful question isn't, why aren't they loving me in the way that I need? A more powerful question is, what level of love have I built inside myself? How safe do I feel with myself? How present am I with my emotions? How much kindness do I offer myself? How often do I abandon myself to keep connection? Because self-abandonment can feel like love when it's familiar, but it is not love. This is why I talk so much about identity and embodiment work, because when your relationship with yourself changes, when you get back to your heart and love yourself, your standards change, your tolerance changes, your clarity changes, your ability to receive changes, and suddenly you experience relationships differently, sometimes even with the same partner. I can speak from my own experience. Whenever I met my husband, my partner now, he was giving me a different type of love that I didn't know, wasn't familiar to me. So I was only receiving a small percentage of even the love that he was trying to give me, because I didn't love myself to the capacity that he was giving. So I didn't even have the capacity to receive it. This wasn't his limitation. It was mine. And that was actually empowering to realize. And I want to say this clearly. You aren't asking for too much. Wanting depth, consistency, emotional presence, partnership, that's human. The question is not whether you're allowed to want that. The question is, what capacity exists in this relationship now? Because love expands when capacity expands. And this comes inside you first. And from there, everything becomes clearer. So if this resonated, just notice what came up for you while you were listening. Awareness is where everything begins. If this is something you're navigating right now, this is exactly the kind of work I help people through. Learning how to rebuild that relationship with yourself so the relationships around you change too. If this is something you are experiencing in your own life, you don't have to figure it out alone. If this conversation is lighting something up in you, if you are feeling that pull to go deeper, I want to invite you into my coaching space. Whether you are just starting to untangle old stories or you are ready to fully embody your next level, your quantum leap, I offer one-on-one sessions or a transformational 4-pack designed to help you shift fast and with real support. My coaching blends nervous system work, breath work, and story alchemy. So you're not just learning, you are living your breakthroughs. You can book a free 30-minute intro call to see if it's the right fit for you. Email me at back2loveme@gmail.com. That's backtotheheart@gmail.com, or find the link in the show notes below. Let's get you back to the heart, because that is where your power lives.